Alright, this is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. Today, actually, is my day off. Well, not really. But today I'm just going to answer your guys' questions and answers. I don't often do this on this YouTube channel, but I thought I would take this opportunity to answer your guys' questions, other questions that I get through different social media outlets. And I do apologize, I can't. There's one of me, and there's a lot of viewers and everybody asking me comments and questions. And so I can't respond to every possible YouTube comment you leave or over different social media platforms. So what I will say is if you do need to contact me, I do have a way you could do that. Just check in the description down below. There's a link to our contact form on our website. I do respond to those usually in a timely fashion. And I'll get back to you and answer all the questions that you may have. For those of you guys that are living in the United States that are in my direct service here. I'm sorry, I cannot answer questions from people outside the USA because I do not sell juicers outside the USA at present time. So with that, let's get on with today's questions. First question is from Mike12909. I do not eat any vegetables at all, so the juices that I will make will be 80% veggies, green leafy greens, and 20% fruits. I decided to go for the Omega VSJ843. I watched the videos with the tips on how to juice in a vertical juicer like a pro. But do you think I should go for the NC900 horizontal juicer instead, since I'll do the majority of vegetables and leafy greens, or the VSJ will be good? I like the VSJ843 since it is self-feeding and you do not have to push every piece in. Alright, Mike, so this is a big conundrum, right? Like, here's my side of the story. My side of the story is I came from a centrifugal ejection machine, a kind of juicer that I no longer use unless it's for a video that I'm making a demonstration on. Then after that style machine, then came like the Champion juicer, which is a high-speed masticating juicer. And then I got introduced into these guys, the horizontal slow-speed machines. And, you know, while these are a great improvement over the centrifugal and the high-speed masticating, you know, this is a low-speed crushing and pressing, or slow cold press juicer, what I would call it. The problem I don't like with this machine is that you'd have to push each produce item in. Now, if you don't mind pushing each produce item in, then this may be the machine for you. As well as if you're going to be juicing lots of stringy and fibrous things that you do not like to pre-cut, right? So after I was using this for many years, then I was so happy that a vertical juicer came out, which kind of gave me the best of both worlds. It gave me the speed of centrifugal, the mostly auto feeding of a centrifugal, and the quality juice of a horizontal. So, you know, this is up to you. Do you want these machines came out like in the 90s, and then these machines are, you know, more relatively newer inventions. And so that's the question I have. And now, here's the thing, right? If you're doing if you're doing wheatgrass, right? Wheatgrass and sprouts and microgreens, then you want to get this one. Don't even go for a vertical, right? I mean, I have a comparison where I compare the NC800 to the VSJ, juicing straight greens, and actually this kept up in terms of yield, which I was actually quite impressed with. I didn't think it was going to do that well, personally. That being said, I don't necessarily recommend it if you want to use straight leafy greens in this machine, because it may be problematic. And that's the other thing, right? You've got to pay attention to all my videos and what I specifically say. If you don't want to pre-cut your kale and celery into 1/4 inch, or better yet 1/8 inch pieces to drop it into the machine, then go with this guy, because this guy, as long as you push things in, it's going to work relatively well. Now, the second thing I'll say is that on the VSJ843, you may need to custom tailor your specific juice recipe for it to work well in this machine. If you don't have enough root vegetables and or pre-cut celery, you know, softer items may not work as well. And, you know, leafy greens kind of need to get a helping push through it, and that's why I made the video, Juice Like a Pro in Any Vertical Slow Juicer. So if you're willing to do all those things, then I would go with the VSJ843, because here's the thing, it just saves me time. I mean, I juice in large quantities, large batches. I'll do from 64 ounces to 128 ounces in one sitting, generally. And if I was using this, I would still be juicing, because I got to sit there and push each item through. I'd rather be pre-cutting, dropping it in as it's running, and juicing. I'm pre-cutting, dropping things more in, so kind of like I'm being more time efficient with what I'm doing. Now, of course, I don't mind pre-cutting my produce. Actually, I kind of enjoy it, because I would enjoy pre-cutting my produce more than I would pushing each produce item into this machine. And that's just me personally. Now, if you hate pre-cutting produce, you don't mind pushing things in the machines, get this machine, right? Now, the other caveat I will give you guys, if you guys want to juice a higher percentage of fruits, right? This machine, I mean, I juiced pineapples in this machine, straight pineapple, and I was like literally pulling out my hair because it just clogged up, it backed up, it did not work properly. And that's where I think really the verticals really shine and excel. They also are significantly better at juicing fruits, whether you're going to do straight fruits, which I don't necessarily recommend, or a higher quantity of fruits, they generally do better. That being said, you know, soft, old fruits that are, you know, soft and mealy like apples, maybe this time of year, can make a lot of pulp in your juice anyways using any kind of slow juicer. So keep that in mind, especially if you're coming from a centrifugal ejection machine that tends to make a very pulp-free juice but ends up wasting a lot of wet pulp in the collection bin, from my experience. All right, so hope that helps you out there. Next question also from Mike12909. I can't buy a lot of organic produce since they are expensive. Do you think juicing and drinking non-organic juice is useless, or won't get much out of the benefits as organic juice? Shall I buy a vacuum blender instead and just make one smoothie per day with organic produce? The problem with juicing is that it requires a lot of produce and organic is expensive, but for shakes in a blender, we just need a bit of produce so I can go organic. Shall I forget about juicing if I will go non-organic, or juicing non-organic is perfectly fine and beneficial? All right, Mike, so I'm going to give you my opinions on this topic. This is based on scientific research, journal study, published studies that I've seen. I'll post a couple links down below. Now, in the studies that I quote, they do not specify if they're using organic or non-organic. That's a whole nother situation. And I've been a constant proponent of basically eating more produce however you could get it. Hey, if you could afford organic, if you could get it close to you, available to you, if you could grow it in your backyard like I do, hey, even better yet. But if you can't afford organic produce, don't think, oh, conventional produce is a waste of money. Here's the thing. Conventional produce is still healthier than anything else you guys are purchasing at the grocery store. And that's just the facts, right? They are more nutrient dense, they have more water content, they have more phytochemicals and phytonutrients than basically any other produce, any other food in the grocery store. And, you know, they're the least expensive item per pound. I mean, I could buy non-organic carrots here in my city for $5.50 for a 25-pound bag of non-organic carrots, sorry. If I want to get organic ones, then I go to the big box store, such as Costco or Sam's Club, and it runs me about 60 cents a pound, which is a little bit more money, but I feel I'm worth it. So yes, juicing non-organic produce is not worthless. People get results. I see it all the time. That being said, we do want to minimize our exposure to any kind of pesticides that may be on non-organic produce. In addition, according to some of the studies I've seen and me taste testing my homegrown organic, above organic produce, you know, it has significantly and can contain significantly more nutrition, although that's not always the case, all right? So I encourage you to support local farmers wherever you live, wherever you are, and try to buy things fresh from them if you're not growing it yourself, which is always the best, and ask them what they're spraying. Some of the best growers may not be certified organic, but they're not spraying anything. They're not putting toxic pesticides or spraying Roundup or glyphosate on their crops or on their soil that may negatively impact the food that's being grown. You might want to also look up the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 list, which basically states about the dirtiest, most pesticide residue containing produce items and the least produce items, you know, that are conventionally grown. So, you know, you could kind of check that list and kind of go by that, because, you know, for me, organic is about two things. It's about, number one, avoiding additional pesticides, and in most cases, those pesticides are basically pesticides that act as neurotoxins to bugs, which kill bugs, which also, you know, in super small amounts, I mean, they say that it doesn't do anything to us, but I'm a little bit weary of that. And then the other reason is, number two, organic produce items that are not sprayed with chemicals, you know, may contain higher levels of different phytonutrients, because the phytonutrients in the plants are basically what the plant makes itself to give itself defense against diseases and pests and bugs. And if they're spraying on pesticides, then guess what? Then the plant doesn't have to make their own pesticides, which are basically end up to be nutrients for us, which are, in my opinion, are a good thing. All right. So then the next question is, shall I buy a vacuum blender instead and just make one smoothie per day with organic produce? So, you know, I would not personally take that route personally. What I would do is I would juice non-organic produce and have as much quantity of juice as I can, and here's the reason why. The reason why is because when you're blending things up, right, even in a vacuum blender, you're still getting a very limited quantity of produce. If I put 1 pound of carrots in the vacuum blender and blend it up, and it's not really going to blend well without adding additional water, you're going to have basically the nutrients of 1 pound of carrots that have been also less oxidized through the vacuum blending process, but also it's very full of fiber. When you juice 1 pound of carrots, you get 8 ounces of juice that basically has the majority of the fiber removed, although it is keeping some of the soluble fiber in there, and now we could absorb and uptake that more effectively. So if you look up a therapy called the Gerson therapy, you know, they get people on basically carrot apple juice. They don't put them on carrot apple smoothies, they put them on carrot apple juice because for many years now, probably over maybe 100 years now, I don't even know how long that therapy's been going on, they've been getting results with basically feeding juice to people. Okay, and then let's see, shall I forget about juicing and just, shall I forget about juicing if I will just go non-organic? Alright, yeah, so I would say don't forget about juicing. If you're only going to go non-organic, try to get organic whenever you can, whatever you can afford, but even conventional produce that's not organic, and you know, I would encourage you to check out the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen list and try to avoid juicing things on the Dirty Dozen list, and I would do that instead. Or juicing non-organic is perfectly fine and beneficial. So yeah, you can get results from juicing non-organic produce. Is it perfectly fine? You know, for me personally, it's not fine because, you know, I don't want to include any excess, you know, pesticides, neurotoxic agents that are bad for bugs. That could be also bad for me, but I will say that based on scientific journal published studies, that you can get benefits from even conventionally grown produce. All right, so that's where I'll end that one there. Next question is from Mike 12909. Again, last question from Mike. After a couple months, if I decide to buy a vacuum blender and add it to my healthy equipment and start using it, I am looking for a single serve ones, the ones where you place on the blender instead of a whole pitcher. You just place 24 or 32 ounce cups. I think Ninja has that. So is there a specific vacuum blender you suggest that has this single serve cup instead of the whole pitcher? Alright, Mike, so I haven't tested out any single serve vacuum blenders at this point. I think there are a few out there. I haven't really researched that because I like to generally blend like more than just like 24 or 32 ounces because I'll make big smoothies. The one I would recommend if you guys are looking for a cheap one, and it's available in the US, I don't know where it is in other countries, and it might be going out of stock, it might be getting discontinued at this point, is called a Flexion, Flexzion vacuum blender. I think that holds about 56 ounces, but that's still bigger than what you want. Other than that, I could recommend, you know, you could modify a NutriBullet, which I did, and you could search my videos on how to hack your NutriBullet for 20 bucks. You could turn your NutriBullet or basically any other single serving cup size blender into a vacuum blender. So that's what I'd recommend for you. Although I am looking for, you know, future personal blenders coming out that do a vacuum feature, and I'm hopeful that some new ones will come out soon. Next question is from AWM7353. I'm still waiting for anyone to do a review of the Omega NC1000 HDS. Other than weight and wattage, I see no difference between it and the NC800-900. Yeah, so I got the NC800 here. I do not have the brand new NC1000 HDS. I did see that model last year at a pre-announcement party from Omega. I didn't get to really play with it, but what I will say is this, to sum it up, okay? Omega's bringing that as their premium model because it's priced more than this machine, so just because it's priced more, is it better? Well, I haven't tested it yet, so that's fact number one. Fact number two is that I know that machine is made in China, whereas the Omega NC800 and NC900 are made in South Korea by a factory that's making juicers for significantly longer than the factory that's been making the NC1000 for Omega. So to me, that's a major difference. I mean, some of the other machines out of the Chinese factory are the MM900, the 8007, 8008, 8006 HDS, 8006 HDC. I'm not going to say the quality is bad, but I have seen higher rates of failure on those machines rather than the ones from South Korea. So, you know, at this point, I'm going to still stick with the NC800, NC900 because it's a tried and true model versus the NC1000, which is basically a whole new model for Omega. And it has not yet time proven itself. And that's why I like these guys and continue to recommend them because they're time proven, they're solid, they're durable, they last. 15-year warranty. What more could you ask for? All right, next question is from Jesus is the Lord. Hello, I'm very interested to buy the Kuvings EVO820 because of the smoothie and sorbet filters. Could you do a comparison between the smoothie capacity of the EVO820 versus one of the blenders, like a good basic one? That would help out a lot. I started juicing in a centrifuge juicer, but it is quite bad. I'm going to strain a lot and not a lot of juice is produced. Thanks for your videos. They have helped a lot so far. May our Father bless you. All right, thank you. So I will not likely be doing a comparison between the EVO820 and the smoothie strainer and a blender. I do have a video where I use the EVO820 or the Kuvings C7000 with the smoothie strainer to make a smoothie in it. And here's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is this. My personal opinion is that it's kind of gimmicky, number one. Number two, it works. Absolutely, it does work. It does allow you to make a low RPM smoothie. It does not give you everything a smoothie would, because when you put something in the blender, it blends up everything completely, and in a slow juicer, it's basically grinding and crushing up everything. And you need to make sure you have enough liquid, and not every recipe is going to work fine in the EVO820 that you could put in a blender. If you don't have enough liquid in there, it's going to be too thick. It's not going to work properly. So for that reason, I actually don't recommend it. I would recommend actually a vacuum blender, such as the Kuvings vacuum blender, if you want to get the Kuvings brand, or another vacuum blender. In my opinion, they do much significantly better job at basically fractionating and cutting the food and allowing you to get more digestion and more nutrition out of whatever you're... In the Kuvings EVO820, basically you're going to have to clean out the center auger, and it's going to have residual pulp that did not come out into your smoothie. So it's kind of acting like a juicer that's letting more pulp in there and kind of letting more liquid out, but still you're going to have a lot of waste product in the juicer that I'm not a super big fan of, all right? Now the sorbet screener, different story there. I am in agreement with the sorbet strainer and using a sorbet strainer or screen to make sorbets, 100% fruit sorbets, versus using a blender to do that, even a vacuum blender. You know, making sorbets with frozen fruit with no liquid added is not a good job for a blender. Even with a tamper, it oxidizes the fruit too much, and that's why I prefer to use a slow juicer for that function, all right? Next question is from Ashley Davis. Have you seen the Nama juicer, and would you consider reviewing it, please? All right, I'm seeing it right here. This is the Nama juicer right there sitting next to me. And I will have an upcoming review on it. I have been getting this question asked a lot since some famous YouTubers are putting out videos that say, Nama juicer full review. And I don't know how a full review is called a full review when the review is maybe 15 or 20 minutes long, whereas my full reviews are generally an hour long. So, you know, I basically tell you the story, the goods, bads, pros and cons, and I show and prove it to you in my videos. And I think there's a lot of marketing fluff out there, is my personal opinion. Of course, that is just my opinion, and you could take it or leave it for whatever you believe. That being said, I will give you my quick comments on this. I mean, if I had to choose between the Nama and the VSJ843, which would I choose? I mean, I could confidently tell you, look you in the eyes, I would go for the VSJ843. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one, larger feed chute, all right? Here's a larger feed chute on this machine and the feed chute on this machine. Although you have dual feed chutes on here, you have a small one on the top and a kind of a side chute. I find this very inconvenient and not easy to use, and I constantly spill things as I'm trying to put it in the top and then kind of deal with this, so it actually slows me down in juicing. So I will be showing you guys that, how it takes a bit longer to juice in the Nama. They do have a claim that you do not need to basically juice celery. You do not have to pre-cut your celery in the Nama, which I have found to be, you know, somewhat true, but at the same time, in the last time I juiced celery in my VSJ, I didn't pre-cut it either, and it worked great. That being said, you know, I'm not going to tell you guys what works for me once or twice. I'm going to tell you guys what works solid so that you guys don't have any problems, because you are not me. You're not the juicing expert that's been juicing 20 plus years using these machines that intimately know when the machine's not, when it's going to block up, clog, or not, and have some problems. So I teach you guys everything I know so that you guys have the best juicing experience so that you will continue to juice for a long time, right? I've juiced whole celery stalks in the Nama, and I've gotten it clogged and jammed, and then it did not disassemble very easily for me, and I was almost like, you know, I was like, oh my God, it's stuck. I can't get it apart, right? I did end up getting it apart, but it can clog like any vertical juicer, okay? The other thing I know about the Nama is, you know, the Nama is not a brand new brand. Well, Nama is a brand new brand, but the juicer's not a brand new brand. This juicer here is basically made by Hurom, imported by Nama, and sold by Nama in the United States. And here's the thing, right? I would rather support a company like Omega that's been around for 30 plus years, or maybe is it 35 years now, in the United States, one of the first juicing companies in the United States, versus a company that's basically importing a Hurom juicer from Korea, and it basically started their business like seriously last year, maybe the year before, I don't know. But they're only in business 1 or 2 years, and now they're offering a warranty and support, and I haven't been to their facility yet, but I'm pretty much sure it's just kind of a warehouse building, and they're just basically stocking products and shipping out of there. I hope to visit it pretty soon and kind of see what's up. The other thing is that they have a direct sale model, right? So they're not allowing retailers to sell it, they're just selling it direct to the end consumer. So I think they did get some, you know, bloggers and people on their side to kind of do some promotion. And here's the thing, I can't be bought out, right? You're gonna win me and win my faith over by basically providing a superior product that could beat my long-standing product that I like the most. And to me, in my opinion, the Nama has not done that yet. I continue to play with it and learn more about it. And here's the things, right? Number one, the Nama they say it has a 10-year warranty, which sounds good on paper, but the Omega has a 15-year warranty, and that's the warranty only on the motor base, right? If you look at the fine print, the Nama only has a 2-year warranty on these parts here, which are the most likely parts to fail, especially the screen will break on you. More than likely will be the first thing that goes out. And on the Omega, 15-year warranty. So literally, it's the same price. You're giving up 13 years on the warranty. Is that worth it to you? Do you want to only juice for the next 2 years? And you know, if the juicer fails in a couple years after that, you're gonna have to basically buy new parts or buy a new juicer. Like, I don't want that to happen to you. In addition, as I mentioned before, Nama is a brand new company in the United States, and Omega's been around for, you know, 30, 35 years now at this point, nice and solid. In addition, the yield testing, I don't know, I haven't done side-by-side yield testing, but they look to be about the same. Maybe the Nama will get a bit more, maybe this will get a bit more, but basically for all practical purposes, they use the same vertical auger juicing system. And the other thing I don't like about the Nama is actually it's a little more difficult to clean than the VSJ843 because there's a few more nooks and crannies. This top housing is a bit harder to clean, and I've noticed the screen gets clogged a little bit more than the VSJ843. So you have to stay tuned, click that subscribe button right down below so you get notified of my new and upcoming episodes coming out. One of these next upcoming episodes I will be comparing the VSJ and the Nama side by side so you guys can get the whole story. But at present time, I would still go with the VSJ. That being said, some of the features I like about the Nama is that it does provide, I guess, a core screen that is available separately on the VSJ. If you could order that as a core screen if you want more pulp in the juice. Also, the Nama does have a sorbet screen, which actually I do like. I wish the VSJ came out with them. They did not, although it is an approved use to make sorbet and even nut butters in the VSJ if you follow my specific directions. And I'll post a link down below to that video. Alright, next question is from Tony Olson. Hi John, I own both types of Omega juicers, the NC800 horizontal and the VSJ843. When it comes to celery, no prep is required for the NC800, and it does a great job with very easy cleanup. Why do you prefer the vertical juicer for celery if it requires more prep, longer cleanup, and less celery juice? Alright, so Tony, in my testing actually, when I juiced the celery in the VSJ and the NC800, I think the VSJ made a tad more juice. Now, I'm not going to say this, you know, the yield was significantly better. I could say they're probably almost tied for that matter. But even then, for me, I really, as I mentioned earlier, I hate pushing produce into the machines. I'm over pushing produce in the machines. I have better things to do with my time. I'd rather sit there and pre-cut, drop in, and as it's juicing, I'm pre-cutting, dropping in, cutting a bit more, dropping in. And so it seems to me that it's much more time efficient. Plus, the VSJ843, while it does take me, you know, twice the amount of time, it takes me 3 minutes to clean this, takes me 90 seconds to clean this. I don't really mind the cleaning, and I prefer to save the time when juicing, because here's the other thing. I'm not just juicing one glass or one 16-ounce glass of juice. And maybe if you are, maybe the time savings will not be that much if you're using NC800, right? For me, when I'm juicing, you know, if I'm juicing celery, I'll juice 3 times 24 ounces of celery juice. If I'm juicing vegetable juices, I'll juice basically 3 times 32 ounces of, you know, my root juice recipe. And I make lots of juice, and I maybe juice every other day, and I make a large quantity. And doing those larger quantities in the NC800, man, I'd go crazy. Sorry. So that's, you know, that's just personal opinion, right? These are my opinions. I share in my videos the pros and cons of each juicer style, and it's up to you, the viewer, to determine what's most important to you. Yes, I have my biases because I've used these guys for so long, and I hate pushing produce in. If you want more time efficient, you're going to juice larger quantities, then get this one. But if you want it really simple, really easy, you want a no-brainer juicer, and actually this is what I got my parents. I got my parents one of these guys because I don't trust them in figuring out how to pre-cut and chop up everything and then rotate the items when they're juicing in this machine. I got them this machine. It's going to be way easier, right? And so every machine has its pros and cons, and I'm here to kind of share with you guys what happens when you juice in each machine. And hopefully with the help of my videos, you'll kind of more clearly see what juicer makes the most sense to you. Alright? Alright, BT Puppy 2. John, I haven't had good luck in juicing carrots in the horizontal juicer, my NC800. It chunks off pieces that go around and around and never really get fed all the way through the auger. Are there any tricks to keep this from happening, or is it just best to do carrots in a vertical juicer? Alright, so here's the thing, right? In any vertical juicer, you know, to a lesser extent in any auger juicer, to a lesser extent in a vertical than an auger, basically what you're seeing is you're putting a carrot in here, and basically the carrot will sit and spin because the carrot is so large it chunks off a piece, but then it gets stuck between basically the plastic gears of the auger, and then it just sits and spins. And it's like usually happens on the last produce item you put in. So it'll just spin around and just won't get juiced. Now that shouldn't happen on any significant way, because if you just put one carrot in, you can see maybe the last piece kind of got stuck. But if you put another carrot in right behind it, it'll push out that last carrot that's stuck, and then you'll have a last carrot that's also stuck. This could also happen in a vertical, but much less, to a lesser degree, in a vertical. So, you know, my solution to that is you could do carrots in this machine. It'll totally work fine. And if you want to prevent that, you know, juice something other than carrots last. So juice something like celery that generally goes through the machine easier, that does not get stuck because the carrots are so hard. Juice a piece of celery last instead of just ending with a carrot. And the other thing you could do is just pre-cut your carrots into small little bits. That way they won't get stuck in the auger, and they'll more relatively feed through. Also make sure that you're not getting any kind of jamming and that your pulp is free flowing out. If your pulp is not free flowing out, then you're just going to have a backup clog. So say, I don't know, maybe you're juicing, well, see, if you're juicing pineapple and pineapple gets really clogged and jammed, but then you put a carrot in, all that carrot should push all that pineapple through, and maybe you just need to add an extra carrot in there. So that's my answer to you. Hope that helps you out. Next question is from Jerome Hiratal. In your opinion, what's the best wide chute slow juicer? All right, Jerome. So here's the thing. Number one, I'm not a fan of wide chute vertical juicers in general. Why? Because I find they leave a lot of excess pulp that does not necessarily get juiced as you're putting produce in the machine. You know, it could happen a lot or a little depending on what you're specifically juicing. In addition, a lot of the wide feed chute juicers I've tested tend to make a more pulpy juice and not yield as much as a small feed chute juicer. That being said, they will save you time if you are juicing certain items such as whole apples and whole carrots. That being said, even a wide chute vertical juicer, you do need to pre-cut your celery and leafy greens, otherwise it will end up and be bad news and clog and jam and not be a good situation. So to me, there's pros and cons. That being said, I am looking forward to a horizontal wide feed chute juicer that is hopefully going to be out later this year. So that being said, if you do want to get a wide feed chute juicer, I would go with a company that basically has the patent on the wide feed chute vertical juicers, and that's the Kuvings. At present time, the Kuvings C7000 is my favorite model. I know there's lots of knockoff models from China, and I've tested only a fraction of them. Some are cheap, some may be good, but here's the thing, you guys get what you pay for, and when you go with Kuvings, you're getting the brand name manufacturer that is using good manufacturing process and also, you know, the best materials, and they have a 10-year warranty, all right? Next question is from Sydney Rodriguez. With the pure juicer, why not recommend for wheatgrass? Why not recommend for sugarcane? Do the blades dull? All right, Cindy, so here's the thing. No one juicer could juice every kind of produce item in the world. The facts are this. Some juicers are better at juicing certain produce items than others. So what I'm really trying to do when you guys are buying a juicer is to match you up with the kinds of produce you're juicing with the juicer that's going to juice those produce items best. So honestly, for juicing wheatgrass, the pure, how does a pure work? The pure works by basically 2 plates that come down and press the juice out of the produce. So if you don't have, you know, so if you do the grinder first, the triturator in the pure, and you grind up the wheatgrass, some liquid will come out, and then you try to press that, you're not going to get a lot of yield out of your wheatgrass. Likewise, sugarcane, it's a grass, right? Sugarcane, while you could put sugarcane through the grinding blade on the pure, you are going to destroy your pure blade. In my opinion, it's going to dull rapidly and very quickly. I did do that before in one video. I do not recommend it because here's the thing. The pure juicer is not a good juicer for wheatgrass or sugarcane. If you want to juice wheatgrass, get a dedicated wheatgrass juicer. That's going to be the best juicer for wheatgrass. Aside from that, if you want to get a standard juicer, get a horizontal single auger juicer. Well, I have juiced a pound of wheatgrass in the VSJ. You know, I do not recommend that either because you will need to pre-cut it into little pieces. Otherwise, it's going to clog and jam and not work well and cause premature screen failure, in my opinion. The next thing is don't use sugarcane in any juicer aside from a sugarcane press, right? So I have a dedicated sugarcane press juicer. I only juice sugarcane in that. I don't juice sugarcane in any other juicer. It's going to break any other juicer, so please do not do it. And so yeah, while the pure is great and juices most things, like especially fruits, and in terms of yield anyways, gets a higher yield on fruits, you know, things like wheatgrass and sugarcane, you know, you just simply got to get the right juicer for those items, and the pure is not it, in my opinion. Next question is from Tony Z. Hello, John. What's the best strainer that you recommend to strain your juice? I'm finding after I juice with my juicer, there's a lot of pulp left over. Any 2 strainers I have, it just clogs them up. All right, Tony, so I don't know what juicers you're using, but number 1 is make sure you're using the proper techniques. Vertical juicers and horizontal juicers can produce significantly more pulp in the juice, and especially the vertical juicers, and especially if you're not using them properly. If you're not using a vertical juicer properly, it can increase your pulp in the juice up to 20, 30, 40% more pulp because they're not using it properly, and basically pulp could be just getting into the juice from the top of the auger or even underneath the auger, or the top of the screen or underneath the screen, which is pretty crazy. But that's how it just works if there's too much backup and back pressure on it and you're not taking care. So the first step is to check out my video, Juice Like a Pro in Any Vertical Slow Juicer. Make sure you slow down, pre-cut your produce, and rotate the produce items accordingly. And, you know, and then also select firm fruits. So if you're juicing apples, you know, soft, mealy apples make a very pulpy juice in slow juicers, whether it's a vertical or not, all right? The next answer I have for you is what strainer do you use? So I have 2 main strainers that I use, and I'm sorry, I don't remember where I got these guys. You know, I have this guy, and then I have this guy. And this is my large hole sieve strainer. It kind of has larger holes, and this is my fine sieve strainer. So generally when I'm juicing, I generally use my fine sieve strainer. And, you know, I don't have a make or model number. I will tell you that if you go to a local restaurant supply store, may have strainers of different sizes. Also, basically, Asian grocery stores have strainers like these. I either got these at like an international marketplace where I live, or like an Asian grocery store, or at a Daiso store. A Daiso store is another basically a store from Japan. They import lots of stuff from Japan. A lot of it's made in China though. But I like that store because they have lots of different sieves and kitchen gadgets for pretty cheap actually. And I only recommend 100% stainless steel sieves because I've seen some cheap sieves that generally rust, and I like these because they basically go over my 2-quart basically Pyrex or Anchor Hawking measuring jars or measuring cups. All right. So I hope that helps you out, Tony. All right. Last question we got is from Jennifer P. Can you tell me the best juicer for celery? Which one would you suggest? Maybe the top and the mid. I have watched your videos, but I'm not sure if things have changed. All right, Jennifer, so here's the thing, right? I get this question a lot. I did make a video, best juice for celery, and I basically test all the major popular brands of juicers, and I'll post a link down below to that video. And I want you to watch that because here's the thing you're going to learn. You know, every juicer has its pros and cons, right? I'm trying to lay these out to you and see which one you guys think is the best for you, right? If you don't like to pre-cut your produce items, like Tony talked about earlier, then get the NC800 because, you know, you don't have to pre-cut, it's easy to use, it's easy to clean, and you're going to be done. That being said, if you're just going to juice celery and other fruits and vegetables, then you might want to go with a vertical juicer because it's a lot more versatile, in my opinion, than a strict horizontal, although it does take twice as long to clean. It takes me 3 minutes, whereas this guy takes me, 90 seconds. But also, it's more versatile, and it's also faster in juicing. So if you're going to juice in batches like me, and I juice 3 times 24 ounces of celery juice in one day, and then I'll vacuum seal it and have it for the next day or two. I'll use this because it saves me some time. In addition, I don't mind pre-cutting. If you hate pre-cutting produce such as celery and leafy greens, then don't get this machine. Do yourself a favor, get this machine, right? So I would describe best for me as, fastest, most efficient, and easiest to use. Of course, for some of you guys out there, the best might be the one that gets the highest yield and the highest nutrition level, in which case then you want to go with the Green Star Elite or Green Star Pro Juicer because that's going to get a higher yield and higher nutrition level because it literally grinds up things a lot better and gets the pulp a lot more dry. So, I would just say once again, watch my videos. I'll try to basically share with you guys all I think and, which one I would choose, but that's based on my needs and what I've been juicing and how I like to juice. Because, I seriously just don't like pushing produce items in machines, and I don't know where I got that from. I just think it's very time inefficient, and I don't have fun doing it, so I don't want to. So I use a vertical. Plus, basically, this machine is better at juicing a wide variety of produce items, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility than this machine, although this machine will allow you to make things like frozen fruit sorbets and salsas, whereas this machine can make sorbets. Once again, link is down below to the video where I show how to do that, although it doesn't have any kind of attachment to do so. So I think that's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, want more episodes with me doing Q&As on this channel, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this video with somebody else you might think it could help. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new upcoming episodes. I'm coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what new juicer or vacuum blender I'll be comparing. And make sure to click the bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. Finally, be sure to check my past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel, dedicated to teach you guys and comparing and contrasting all the different major brand juicers and vacuum blenders and even dehydrators on the market. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube.